Hello crafty friends, welcome back or welcome if it's your first time here. My name is Laura and today I'm going to be doing some Easter crafting using products from Baker Ross. So here I have some plastic hanging eggs. Baker Ross has multiple different types of decorative eggs, including ceramic, so do check out the range. I decided to use these hanging plastic eggs and I'm going to be painting them using some pastel paints, also from Baker Ross. So for this first one, I've coated it in a layer of white paint and then I'm adding on stripes of different colours. Now, I decided that I wanted some of my eggs to look like a beach theme. So this one I'm painting up so it looks like an inflatable beach ball, or at least that is the idea of what I'm doing here with these different colours, because I decided that I wanted to bring a little bit of summer. I don't want to wish away the year, but I am looking forward to hopefully being able to have a summer holiday, so I decided to bring some summer to my Easter crafts. So here I'm painting using stripes of the pastel colours. I'm starting in thin layers and just painting those right the way round. I love this selection of colours. The ones that you can see on the screen right now come together in a pack of ready to mix paints, which is great for this. And once I've done that and it's completely dried, I'll add a second layer, leave that to dry, and then come in to add some detail using the Baker Ross paint markers. So now moving into my second beach themed design, I'm going to use the green paint to paint the base of this egg as if it looks like a watermelon rind. I'm then going to paint the top section using the pink. Again, I'm working in light layers. I'm going to let this completely dry and then come back in with a second layer and then add some detail using paint pens to finish this up. I think a watermelon looks really fun and definitely fits with that beachy vibe. I'm going to show a couple different examples of how I painted these eggs. So if you're not feeling the beach theme, if you're not ready to embrace or encourage summer just yet, then I will have some other examples that you could use to decorate. As I was painting these, I actually found it really useful to hold on to that hanging tab as kind of a section to be able to grab onto this without messing up the paint, and then I was able to just hang these as they dry. So for this last one, I'm going to attempt a surfboard design. I think this one maybe could have done with a bit more work, but I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. I painted the bottom section of the egg in blue to simulate, I guess, the water, and then painted a design on the top that I felt would work as a surfboard. Painting eggs was always a really fun part of Easter for me. As a child, we used to have competitions where, as a family, we'd sit down and decorate our eggs, see who created the best design, and then we would take them out to a hill and have a race rolling them down the hill. Now that I'm older, I like to be able to create something that I can keep year after year, so these plastic hanging eggs are perfect for that because once they're decorated, you can store them and bring them out next year. So here we have my 3 beachy eggs, and I'm grabbing my paint pen. I do of course have this sped up, and I'm just creating straight lines using the white pen across the different sections of my beach ball, and I think that really helps to bring this to life as a beach ball. Now for my watermelon, I'm using a green paint pen just to define that line between the top of the watermelon and the bottom green rind section. So I'm using a green pen, and then I'll grab a black deco marker and add in some black teardrop shapes to represent the seeds within the watermelon. Finally, I went back to the white pen and just defined the lines between the different colour sections of my surfboard. And then we have my 3 beachy themed Easter eggs. Now, I wanted to make a couple different designs here, so I grabbed the gold deco marker pen. This gold is unbelievable. It looks so metallic, and it's just a simple gold paint marker, and I'm using it to add some text onto 3 eggs that I've painted white. So I'm adding the word joy as well as the word hop and also Easter. And I think this is a great way to make more of a grown-up decorative item. It looks a little bit more interior design than arts and crafts that you may have done with your kids. Not that there's anything wrong with those. I don't have kids and I do those types of crafts all the time. So once I was happy with my text eggs, I wanted something to complement them, and I decided to use this green moss. I started breaking it up using my hands, and then I realised I wanted the pieces to be really small, so I actually took some scissors and chopped into the moss until it was really fine, and then I was able to use my tacky glue and cover one of the eggs using that tacky glue and then roll it and sprinkle on the moss and have it stick really well. I did actually go ahead and do 2 coats of this, so I completely painted the egg with the glue and then added on the moss, waited for that to dry, and then repeated the process again just to really fill in those gaps. You can see that by the time I was done with the 2 layers, I had really great coverage of that dried moss, and I just think it gives a really fun high-end look to these decorative eggs. I also added them to a decorative tree, and I think they look great hanging together. So now on to the next project. I've cut out a bunny shaped sticker. You can use a sticker from a sticker pack. You want something that you can add to an empty jar or an empty container that is glass that we can then add some paint to decorate and leave that little bunny section free from paint. So here I'm going to mix up the paint concoction that I want to use. You could definitely just use the ready mix paint as it is, but I decided to add some talcum powder. This is going to give the paint a little bit more of a chalky finish, and it will also add some texture and some grit to that paint. So it's a little less runny, which means I can add it with a spatula, and this is going to leave fun texture on that glass design. As I say, you could definitely just paint it straight on, but I think this is a really fun look to add a little bit of texture and that chalky finish using those paints and some talcum powder. Once I almost had it covered, I did switch to using a foam brush just to add some paint to the very base of this jar, and then I left it upside down to completely dry. Once it was completely dry, I came back in with a sharp tool and just lifted off that sticker. A tiny bit of the paint had seeped under the edges, but this wasn't completely dry, so I was able to just wipe that away using a wet wipe. And I also decided to wipe away that dot in the center that represents the bunny tail. I just felt like it looked a little cleaner without it. And then you have this fun decorative treat jar. So next up, we're going to make a canvas using these pastel paint sticks. They twist up kind of like a lipstick or a chapstick would, and they have a creamy paint formula inside of them. These are so much fun to work with. I'm using the Baker Ross canvases. These come in a 2-pack. And then I'm just smoothing on the paint stick directly over the top of some stickers that read "Too Hip to Hop," and again, another bunny. I did use my ruler just to make sure I had roughly 2 inches of each colour, so they would be nicely spaced right across this canvas. So I completely covered the canvas in these stripes of colour. It's so creamy to work with these paint sticks. They're really fun to use. And I decided to use a wet wipe to blend these slightly. So I'm just going to run my finger over the top of each of the colours using a wet wipe just to help make sure that all of that texture of the canvas is covered with the paint. Once that was done, it's time to peel away the stickers and leave behind the white design. So I started off with the bunny in the center, and then I picked away each of the letters. I did go back in using a white paint pen just to clean up any of the areas where the paint may have seeped underneath that sticker. So just around the edges of the bunny and where I'd nudged the letter I in the word hip, some of the paint had got underneath there, but I fixed this up using a paint pen. And this is what the canvas looks like. I think this is my favorite project. So now we're going to finish up with a card. Here I'm taking some A4 card that I've already cut in half, and now I'm folding it in half to make my card shapes. I'm going to be using some blue for a sky, green for grass, and yellow for an Easter chick. This is actually going to be a moving card, and it's something I learned to do when I was pretty young, and I used to love making these cards with the moving mouthpieces. So I'm starting off by making the grass section. I've trimmed down some of my pastel green card, and then I'm just cutting triangles into this piece to make the grass. Then using a glue stick, I'll go ahead and add the grass to the sky section just to create the background for the inside of this card. Now to make the chick's body, I'm going to cut an oval shape, again just along that fold, and this means everything will sit nicely on the inside of the card. Now we need to create a mouth for the chick, and this is really easy. We just want to cut a small section into that fold. And then we'll take each of the sides and fold them up, so you'll have these little triangle pieces either side of the cut mark that you made. I find it easiest to fold these first in one direction and then flip everything over and fold them again, and this will create the beak shape for your chick. So it should look like this, and then when you open up the chick, you can pop the beak through so it jumps out of the chick's face. So here you can see I've used a marker just to add some orange colour to that beak, and it moves and looks like the chick is speaking as you move the card backwards and forwards. I'm colouring in a dark section behind where that beak will be because I don't want the sky to show through the back of the chick's mouth. I want that to just be dark. So I'm colouring in a large dark section that will sit behind that beak, and then we're ready to add some detail to this chick. I cut out some wings just using a very basic 3-arch shape, and I'm going to go ahead and stick those behind the chick's body. And then we'll be able to glue this down and using a marker pen add some legs and some eyes to this chick. So for the front of the card, I've taken more of that pastel paper from Baker Ross, and I've cut out an egg shape that is exactly the same size from each of these, and then I'm using some wavy scissors to trim up the edges. You could do this by hand, but if you have these wavy scissors, then I think it looks really great. And then you can just mix and match the colour pieces to make a decorative egg. So I'm laying everything down on my desk, and once I'm happy with the order of the colours and how this looks, I'll take a piece of tape and secure this together, add some glue onto the back and stick it down to the front of my card. So the last thing that I wanted to do here was add a little bit more detail to the front of this pop-up moving card, and I'm taking these small alphabet stickers. These are foam stickers, again from Baker Ross. They come in a multi-pack of all different colours, and I'm using the yellow to spell out the word Easter. I did decide to cut out just one more strip of coloured paper just to break up that block of yellow on the Easter egg, but apart from that, this card is finished. I love how the little beak of the chick moves as you open and close the card. I think this is a really fun one to make. So there we have my Easter projects. I think the canvas is probably my favourite, maybe followed by those mossy green eggs, but do let me know what you think, and if you recreate any of these, I'd love to see them. You can go ahead and tag Baker Ross and also myself at Crafty Not Shifty. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye for now.